50 spine-chilling haunted tales of the rain, uncover sinister secrets, terrifying truths revealed. Mary never liked storms. The heavy rain that poured down on Maplewood Lane felt like a sinister curtain drawing across her life. The cookie-cutter houses around her creaked, and the shadows seemed to twist eerily in the dim light. She arrived home after a grueling shift at Oakwood Hospital, her legs feeling like lead. All she wanted was to embrace the comfort of home and cuddle with her 7-year-old son, Jake. She stepped through the door, the familiar scent of dampness and the distant sound of thunder wrapping around her like an unwelcome embrace. As they settled down for a quick dinner, the lights flickered, muddy shadows dancing on the walls. Jake's eyes widened, reflecting her own unease. It felt like the house was breathing, and with every creak beneath her feet, she felt something ominous lurking in the corners. "It's just the storm," she forced herself to say, although her heart sank. Then, the lights went out completely, plunging them into darkness. Fumbling for her flashlight, she recalled the whispers that had floated through town about Sheriff Dale, a man praised and trusted by the community, yet lately, an unsettling chill clung to his name like a lingering fog. "Mom." Jake's voice trembled. She turned to comfort him, but deep down, she felt their safety was already fading like the dying light. Outside, the wind howled, and as rain lashed against the window, shadows seemed to slip between the raindrops, elusive, sinister figures beyond the porch light. "It's just the wind," she chanted to herself, yet each whisper that curled through the walls made her skin crawl. The strange occurrences escalated. A shudder ran through her as she noticed movement beyond the glass, fleeting shapes casting distorted silhouettes. Heavy drops drummed nervously, accompanied by a low murmur that curled into her ears, promising secrets best kept buried. Just then, she caught sight of something, a fleeting glimpse of dread cloaked in darkness. "It's nothing," she gasped, but the truth hung thick in the air, threatening to choke her. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With dawn on the horizon, Mary could no longer ignore the dread clawing at her. The neighborhood's cheerful disposition masked something darker, a tight-lipped silence around Sheriff Dale's true nature. Few dared talk about the disappearances. Too many missing souls whispered their names in the rain. As Jake's soft snores echoed in the darkness, she felt a pull to uncover the truth that lay just beneath the surface, bubbling like rotten secrets. With a thunderous heart, she stepped outside, each raindrop pounding on her skin as she navigated the soggy streets. The air turned electric, crackling with anticipation. Shadows loomed in every direction, and as she approached the dark oak tree at the town center, a phrase dripped from the air, painfully familiar but utterly out of place. "You shouldn't have come, Mary." Ground shaking, heart dropping, some secrets were not meant to be unveiled. As she stood frozen in terror, she understood in that instant that her simple quest for answers might lead her to a truth far darker than she could ever imagine. Mary stood motionless, her breath shallow. The phrase echoed in her mind, a sinister reminder that she was no longer alone in this storm. The air twisted around her, thick with unspoken warnings. She could feel eyes on her, not merely shadows cast by the storm but sentient beings, watching, waiting. "Mom." Jake's voice crept out from the house, soft but urgent, snapping her back to reality. "Hold on, Jake," she shouted, trying to keep her voice steady. He needed her, and she couldn't let fear consume her. She turned her gaze back to the oak tree, the wise old sentinel of Maplewood Lane. Its gnarled branches reached out like skeletal fingers, beckoning her closer. The whispers grew louder, a jumble of voices merging into one chilling chorus. "Secrets, you're not supposed to know," they hissed, sending chills racing down her spine. But Mary pressed on. Driven by a mix of fear and maternal instinct, she stepped closer to the tree. Each stride felt heavier than the last, like she was wading through darkness rather than wet grass. The wind howled, and she clutched her flashlight tighter. The beam of light flickered through the rain, illuminating momentary glimpses of the world around her. Unfamiliar shapes flitted at the edge of her vision, vanishing in the blink of an eye, as if the darkness itself was alive. Just then, a figure emerged from behind the oak, drenched but oddly serene. Sheriff Dale. His well-tailored raincoat clung to his frame. The flickering light captured his features, hardened yet eerily calm, as if he belonged here, among the shadows. "Mary," he said, voice smooth as polished stone, "what brings you out in this wretched weather?" She swallowed hard. I was looking for answers." His lips curled into a smile, too slow, too intentional. "Answers? In Maplewood? There's a reason the truth hides beneath the rain." Was that warning in his tone or amusement? The tension twisted in her gut. "Jake is alone. I need to get back to him." "Ah, the boy." He stepped closer, the rain cascading off his coattails. "Such an innocent soul, asn't he?" As he spoke, Mary instinctively took a step back, the hairs on her arms standing up. Something about him had shifted, his shadow loomed longer, darkening the ground around her. A familiar dread crept within her. Dale was more than just the town as protector. "Time to go, Mary," he said, and there was a command in his voice, like powerful winds forcing her to comply. Without thinking, she turned on her heel and sprinted towards home, every raindrop feeling like daggers against her skin. The shadows elongated and twisted around her, shadows that felt hungry. Footsteps echoed behind her, heavy and deliberate, unyielding. The tree stood ominous in the background, and as she ran, a voice whispered, curling into her ear like smoke. "She'll find out soon enough." Panic clawed at her as she flung open the door, every instinct urging her to protect her child. The house felt unwelcoming. Walls whispered her name, the air thickened like a noose. "Mom." Jake's voice echoed through the darkness. In that moment of relief, Mary turned to him, heart racing. But the moment was marred, the lights flickered ominously back to life, and there, standing in the shadows at the edge of the room, stood Sheriff Dale, a calm presence among the chaos. "Mom, who is that?" Jake's voice trembled. A shiver raced down her spine. She was no longer sure what danger had truly come home with her. As she struggled to find her voice, something chilling clicked into place. What had she uncovered? What lay beneath the surface of Maplewood? And, more importantly, what was Sheriff Dale still hiding? A thunderclap surged through the air, shaking the very foundation of her home, as she realized the truth might be even closer than she feared. Before Mary could utter a sound, Dale's gaze fixed on Jake, and that grin stretched wider, twisting like a snake. Fear gripped her heart, and the trembling in her hands intensified. The atmosphere felt charged, like static before a storm, and something primal in her screamed to protect her son. "Step away from him!" she shouted, her voice barely a whisper above the rolling thunder outside. "Mary, now really." Dale's tone dripped with a chilling calm. "There's no need for fear." "No need for fear?" she echoed, the absurdity of his words fueling her rage. "You're standing in my house, Sheriff. With my son. What do you want?" Dale chuckled softly. "This place has secrets, Mary, secrets long kept. Jake is a part of that story." At those words, the shadows in the corners of the room lengthened, crawling toward the light as it flickered dangerously. She could sense them closing in around her, the intangible weight of their presence stifling her breath. Jake's small hand trembled in hers, and she pulled him closer, trying to shield him from whatever darkness had come through the door with Dale. "You don't scare me," she retorted, though her heart raced with fear. He took a step forward, and she noticed now how his movements were eerily fluid, almost too graceful. "What you've stumbled upon is beyond mere fear. It's truth. You wanted the truth, didn't you?" The words cut into her, slicing through her resolve. "What truth?" Deep inside, she felt it coiling like a serpent, ready to strike. "Mom, I don't like this," Jake whimpered, looking up at her with wide, frightened eyes. "Shoo, it's okay, sweetheart," she whispered, trying to sound brave. But the room grew darker, and a low moan seemed to pulse through the walls, vibrating against her chest. Dale continued, seemingly unbothered by the encroaching tension. "In every storm, the old whispers come alive. They have stories to tell, secrets to share. And you think they'd like to share those with us?" She shot back, her voice trembling as she backed away toward the hallway, dragging Jake with her. "What they share isn't for the faint of heart," he said, eyes glinting under the sporadic lightning. "You should be careful what you wish for. Some truths can't be undone." She reached the door leading to the basement, memories flooding back of her father's warnings never go down there alone. Dale's smile faltered just for a moment, the shadows around him pulsing like a living thing. "You've awakened something, Mary. Something that begs for release." With quick decision, she gripped the doorknob tightly and swung it open, revealing the stairs that descended into darkness. Each step on the wooden stairs creaked ominously. "No!" she shouted, panic rising in her throat. "We're not going down there." The air in the room thickened as Dale moved even closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You already have, Mary. You stepped into the storm when you chose to seek answers. The truth lies below, and you will find it whether you want to or not." The house shuddered again, the walls contracting, suffocating. Mary grabbed Jake and pulled him back toward the living room, her heart racing. But every instinct told her they were cornered. "Mom, please!" Jake cried, his voice breaking. She felt him shaking, felt her own body trembling with his. Outside, the rain turned from a torrent into a rolling wave. Strong winds howled, rattling the windows, scratching at the frames with invisible claws. They were trapped, with secrets clawing at the edges of their sanity. Dale stepped closer again, his eyes darkening. "It's time for the past to be uncovered. You cannot hide from it. You cannot escape the truth." As she backed away, lost in the chaos of uncertainty, a single thought loomed larger than the shadows. What if the truth was far darker than she could ever imagine? Suddenly, the lights flickered out entirely, plunging them into darkness. A suffocating silence enveloped the room, broken only by the pounding of her heart. Then, a voice echoed from the depths of the house, hollow and distant. "Help us find us." Mary felt the floor shift. Beneath her, something ancient awakening, and she knew they would have to confront the world that lurked beneath the surface before it consumed them both. What would they discover if they ventured into the depths, where secrets roamed free? Would they come back with the truth? Or would they become more lost than they already were? The darkness enveloped them like a shroud, thick and cold. Mary's heart raced as she tightened her grip on Jake's hand, his small fingers trembling in hers. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the relentless drumming of rain against the roof, thunder rumbling like an angry beast in the distance. Mom. Jake's voice was a mere whisper, the fear palpable. "Stay close to me," she replied, her own voice sounding foreign, trembling on the edge of panic. She forced herself to peer into the shadows, to seek out the form of Dale. But he seemed to blend with the darkness, a lurking predator just out of sight. "Can you hear it?" he said, the sound of his voice carried through the gloom, curling around her like smoke. "It's calling to you, Mary. Just like it called to your father. It's all connected." Mary felt a cold dread wash over her, memories rushing back like crashing waves. Her father had always warned her about the secrets. The whispers in the night, the strange occurrences in their home, the stories he had whispered to her while tucking her into bed were now taunting her, echoing in her mind. "Leave us alone," she shouted, stepping backward, guiding Jake toward the staircase leading to the basement. She ignored the icy fingers of despair clutching at her throat, filling her lungs with dread. "Do you really think you can escape?" Dale taunted, his voice smooth and slick, like the rain outside. "You've already opened the door. Now the questions will only multiply." The sound of his footsteps echoed as he moved closer, and Mary felt a chill creep up her spine. Every instinct screamed to run, but she knew there was nowhere to go. The house was alive with whispers, the shadows shifting, writhing, as if they were sentient. "No. I want to let you take him." She yelled into the darkness, her heart pounding in a desperate rhythm. Even as she defied him, dread coiled in her stomach. This was a battle she wasn't sure she could win. "Your father didn't succeed." Dale's voice trailed off, swallowed by the roar of the storm. "He failed to uncover the truth in time. But you have a chance." A flash of lightning illuminated the living room, casting sharp, fleeting shadows that danced across the walls. In that brief moment, her eyes caught a glimpse of a figure moving in the corner, long and distorted, as if made of the shadows themselves. Mary's breath hitched, her heart racing faster. "Mom, what do we do?" Jake's voice trembled, pulling her back from the brink of panic. "I don't know, sweetheart. Just keep your eyes on me," she said, forcing a calmness that felt like glass shattering inside her. As the lights flickered back on, Dale stood still, his grin unchanged but his eyes narrowed. "It's time to decide, Mary. Continue down this path, or turn back and leave a part of you behind. The secrets of this house are yours to keep or forsake." In that moment, the walls seemed to close in, the air thickening with despair. Mary could barely breathe, the weight of past and present pressing against her. What if she decided wrong? What if going deeper meant losing Jake forever? "Please, please," she whispered, clutching her son tighter, feeling his small heart beating wildly against her own. "Don't take him away from me. I'll do anything." Dale's laughter echoed like a haunting melody. "Anything? We will see, Mary. We will see." Then, she heard it again, a whisper, soft yet insistent, weaving through the air like a serpent. "Help find us." The walls trembled, a subtle quake that rippled through the floorboards. Jake's eyes widened, and she felt his grip tighten. "What if they're not lost?" Dale's words slithered through the tension, dark and leering. "What if they've been waiting for you?" In that instant, the uncertainty shifted. A new resolve washed over her. She would fight. This was her home, her son, and she would not be cowed by whispers or shadows. With the flickering light, a sudden thought flashed into her mind: what if uncovering the truth was their only way out? But as she glanced back at the shifting figures in the corners, one question lingered in the fog of fear: was it really worth the price? The house felt alive, breathing, waiting. What revelations lurked just beyond the veil? And as a new gust of wind howled through the cracks, she understood that the storm was only beginning. They had to confront the truth together or risk losing everything. But would they accept the consequences that came with it? The ground beneath their feet shuddered again, a deeper tremor that resonated through the walls, making Mary's stomach flip. The air felt electric, a tension crackling like the storm outside, and instinctively, she pulled Jake even closer, shielding him as if her body could block out the suffocating fear. "Mom, I don't like this." Jake's voice wavered, barely above a whisper. "Neither do I, honey, but we can't give up," she replied, her heart an avalanche of anxiety. Tugging Jake toward the staircase, Mary found her voice stronger than before. "We need to see what's down there." Dale's laughter rang out again, chilling and derisive. "So eager to confront the darkness, Mary. I admire your spirit. But what lies in the basement is more than you can fathom." He stepped back, merging with the shadows, his eyes glistening with something predatory. "Mom!" Jake squeaked, tugging at her shirt. "We shouldn't go down there." "What if, Jake, we want to let him take you?" Mary interrupted, adrenaline fueling her courage. They lunged down the creaking staircase, wooden steps groaning under their weight as they descended into the abyss of the basement. The moment they reached the bottom, the air grew stale, thick with dampness that assaulted her senses. She looked around, the single light bulb flickering ominously overhead, casting an eerie glow on the crumbling walls. Strange symbols danced in the corners, and shadows writhed like phantom tendrils, searching for something to grasp. "Mom, what's that?" Jake pointed at a wall, where the symbols seemed to shift and pulse, alive in the dim light. I don't know. But we have to find a way to get out of here," she muttered, her throat dry. The fear was crushing, but the urge to protect her son surged stronger. Just then, a low rumble echoed from deeper within the basement. Mary steeled herself, casting a fearful glance in Jake's direction. "Stay close, okay? We need to see what's making that noise." As they moved forward, the noise grew louder, morphing into tortured whispers. They reverberated off the stone walls, swirling as if a storm was rising within the confined space. Help us," Mary bolted, dragging Jake along with her. They stumbled upon a door, half ajar, rusted and swollen. With a quick, determined shove, she pushed it open, and the hinges cried out like a wounded animal protesting their intrusion. The room before them was suffocating in its darkness, littered with old furniture draped in sheets. Yet, beneath the surface, something morphed a shape, a silhouette emerging from the shadows. "You've arrived," the voice was low and echoing, a haunting melody that seemed to drip with desperation. "Who's there?" Mary called, her throat tight. The figure was shrouded but beckoned with a bony finger. The slivers of light danced around, illuminating features that were once human but now twisted with anguish. They looked like remnants of souls lost, crumpled and forlorn. "Help us," it whispered again, eerily in unison with the murmured echoes that encircled them. He knows. Mary's heart raced as she turned to Jake, whose eyes were wide with terror. "Mom, what do they want?" I don't know." Panic bubbled within her, but she fought to keep it contained. "We need to find a way to get out. Leave while you can before it's too late." The words were a warning, a plea, but mingled with an invitation that sent shivers down her spine. Then, from the corner, a familiar voice broke through the chorus. "Mary," it was an almost forgotten tone her father's. "You have to choose." The room darkened, shadows coiling tighter around them. Her father's face, ghostly and pale, floated in the confusion, his eyes spitting fire. "It's all connected, you must understand." "Dad!" she cried, reaching out, her heart pounding. But the shadows enveloped him, and he vanished as the whispers escalated into chaos. The walls constricted, making her breath feel stifled. She realized in that moment, something was coming, some force bent on reclaiming its power. "Mom!" Jake shouted, his small voice taut with terror. "What do we do?" The room shuddered again, more violently than before, and a scream welled up inside Mary, a sudden realization dawning. There was no escape without confronting the darkness. But the cost loomed like a shadow over her heart. Could she face what lurked within the walls and still protect Jake? The choice hung heavy in the air, suffocating her. The whispers grew louder, the figures clawing their way to the front of her mind, demanding her decision. And as the house writhed with expectations, Mary's resolve began to crack. What was the truth that awaited her? And could she find it without losing everything? Mary's mind raced, fighting through the clamor of voices that strained against her sanity. There was a power here, a malevolent force that sucked the air from her lungs, and she couldn't let it consume them both. "Mom, can't we just go back?" Jake pleaded, his small hand slipping from her grasp. The shadows around them flickered, whispering promises that danced tantalizingly just out of reach. "Just a little further," she muttered, trying to cling to her resolve. They edged deeper into the abyss, the dismal flickering bulb doing little to banish the suffocating dark. With each hesitant step, the walls pulsated, the symbols alive with rage and sorrow. Jake stumbled, tripping over a loose floorboard, and Mary turned sharply, a surge of panic jolting through her. "Stay with me. Just hold on." Her voice cracked, urgency spilling through every word. The whispers didn't relent. Find the truth, find the truth." Her heart felt like it might burst. "What truth?" she shouted, anger finally igniting through her fear. "What do you want from us?" In an instant, the shadows hesitated, almost as if they were considering her question. The air buzzed with tension, and for a fleeting moment, Mary thought she felt a stirring of understanding. A frail cry echoed through the oppressive silence, rising like a wisp of smoke. You must choose what? She spat out in desperation. Behind her, Jake whimpered, eyes wide and glistening with unshed tears. The wrongness of the room twisted and turned, threatening to unhinge her completely. She couldn't break. Not now. Not for Jake. As she turned back toward the darkness, a chaotic surge sent her crashing into an energy so thick it slyly wrapped around her like a serpent. A single flash of memory erupted in her mind, a forgotten night, the shadows of past fears chasing her down an empty hallway. The scent of damp earth and despair lingered like a reminder of unfinished business. Suddenly, the door they'd entered through slammed shut. It echoed like a gunshot. Mary whipped around, terror gripping her heart. No. Let us out. Jake screamed, thrashing against the door, his small hands pounding in vain. The whispers grew louder, intertwining Jake's cries into their sinister chorus. Help us, help us! Mary lunged for her son, pulling him close, her heart hammering. I want to let you take him. But without warning, the shadows surged forward, coiling around Jake with a chilling grip. His screams pierced through the oppressive air, and Mary felt her own voice steal away in the face of impending horror. No! She roared into the darkness, summoning every ounce of strength. She ripped her gaze from her son to the writhing figure surrounding them, a flicker of luminescence igniting from deep within her core. Let him go. The moment hung pregnant with fear, the shadows pulsated, retreating slightly. For a heartbeat, she thought they might recede. But a dark laughter echoed through the basement, taunting and hollow. You have to choose, Mary, your son or the truth. The decision felt as heavy as lead. The walls closed in, the whispers surged with urgency and temptation. Mary caught sight of the ethereal figure of her father, still a specter tethered to her past. He hovered near the edge of the darkness, his gaze pleading with her. Choose wisely, my child, he murmured. As the shadows began to tighten their grip on Jake, fury ignited in Mary's soul. You can't have him. I would choose him 1,000 times. With that, she reached out, plunging her hand into the shadows. They clawed and tore, trying to rip her away, but determination surged through her veins. I choose love. In that moment, an explosion of light erupted, illuminating the basement, shattering the chains binding Jake. His eyes widened in astonished hope as he fell against her, clinging tightly. But the shadows roared in rage, battling against the light. The darkness fought back, clawing at the edges of existence, searching for a way to reclaim what it had lost. Mom! Jake cried out, terror seeping back into his voice. What is happening? The ground beneath their feet shook violently, sending both of them sprawling as the room quaked. Mary's heart thundered, pulse crashing in her ears. We have to go. Now. But as they clawed their way back to the door, a dark figure emerged, more solid than before, blocking their escape. Mary froze, her breath hitching in her throat. Your choice is not yet complete, it hissed, the flickering lights dying down once more. The truth awaits. What truth? What more could this thing want? Panic clawed at her throat as she struggled to think. Could they defeat this force with a light born from love? Or would it devour them both in its unyielding grasp? Just as she steeled herself for a fight, a crack of thunder echoed through the basement and then darkness collapsed upon them. The choice lingered like a specter, poised and hungry, waiting to reveal itself. The darkness swallowed them whole, and for a moment, Mary's world shrank to nothing. An unnatural quiet enveloped her, smothering, suffocating. In the dark, dread twisted in her gut, forcing her to grip Jake tighter. Mom! His voice trembled, brittle with fear. She could sense his small body shaking against her, and her heart fractured at the thought of losing him again. I'm scared, I know, Jake. Just hold on to me. She whispered, desperation wrapping around her words as she fought to steady her breathing. Suddenly, the silence shattered like glass. A guttural growl reverberated through the air, loud and angry. Shadows flickered and churned like a living thing, reshaping and scrambling from unseen hands. Do you really think love can save you? The dark figure's voice slithered into their minds, wrapping around their thoughts like smoke. You're still naive, Mary. Your love, while strong, is not the answer. Her back stiffened. What do you want? A freezing gust swept through, generating a whirlwind of despair. Mary felt the temperature drop, her breath emerging in fearful puffs. Truth comes at a cost, it continued, swirling closer, the shadows gathering into a grotesque shape. What do you stand to lose? As the figure loomed over them, a series of images flashed in Mary's mind: tragedies, regrets, moments of weakness, all her failures laid bare. And beneath them, a different image flickered, her father, ghostly and sorrowful, eyes pleading behind the distortion of shadow. Is this what you want? It hissed. To bear the guilt you have tried so hard to bury? No. Mary shouted, pushing back against the wave of darkness. I want to give in to you. Another growl erupted. The shadows pressed closer, and Mary could feel Jake's heart racing beneath her fingers. Each pulse echoed the dread that lodged in her throat. What if I told you that in choosing love, you've doomed your son? The voice was filled with cold amusement, feeding on her turmoil. Your attachment weakens him. The truth is a hard master, and it has chosen to claim what is rightfully yours. Mary's resolve wavered as terror clawed at the seams of her mind. You're lying. Am I? The figure's laughter split the air, sinister and mocking. You chose this path, Mary. Now, the shadows want answers, mighty answers that twist their hunger. All around her, the colors of the basement began to dissolve, replaced by scenes of torment. The darkness pulled back, revealing fleeting glimpses of others drifting like echoes, lost souls trapped by their own choices. Faces etched in despair surged past her. Mom! Please! Jake's plea jolted her back, the sound slicing through the visions. Jake, stay close. But something crucial clicked in her mind. She had to confront the truth. What do you want from us? Mary shouted into the unknown, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. The shadows pulsed, almost curiously, as if considering her. Then, the growl turned into a low, menacing whisper. You will face the truth of your past. Mary's pulse quickened. I want to let you touch him. But as she clutched Jake tighter, the shadows exploded towards her. A cacophony of lost voices screamed, begging for release from their eternal dark prison. Face it, Mary. The voice echoed, raging and powerful. The truth is your only salvation, but it will come at a price. And in that instant, the ground beneath her crumbled, pulling her into an abyss filled with echoes of her past, shadows clawing at her as they plummeted into a yawning void. Mom! Jake screamed, his tiny hand slipping from hers. Jake! As she reached out, desperation surged. She had to fight, but could she bear the weight of the truth? The dark swirled, hungry for both of them, lifting them higher into chaos, and just as the abyss threatened to engulf them completely, a flash of light sparked in the depths, revealing glimmers of what could be, or what may just be a lie. At that moment, Mary realized the choice was no longer hers alone. Together, Jake. We must choose together. But would they be able to confront the truth before the shadows sealed their fate forever? The darkness tightened around them, the truth lurking just out of reach, whispering promises that sent chills down her spine. The fall seemed endless, a spiral deep into shadowed memories, where the dim light flickered like heartbeat's ghost. The air pressed against them, thick and stifling, every breath a labor, every second stretching into eternity. Mom! Jake's cry echoed, pulled further from her grasp, and Mary fought against the blackness trying to swallow her whole. Where are we? We're going to be okay. She shouted, though panic clawed at her throat. Around them, silhouettes writhed and twisted, ancient forms entangled in the fabric of night, lurking just beyond her vision. The dark figure persisted, whispers lacing through the darkness, caressing her fraught mind. "What do you hope to find here, Mary? Safety in love? Or freedom in truth?" With each word, the abyss shifted, an undercurrent pulling at her spirit. "Shut up!" She screamed, wishing her anger could block out the noise, but it suffocated her, drowning her in sadness. Her father's visage, lost friendships, and missed opportunities. Suddenly, a surge of heat collided against the cold, a small ember of hope flickering to life. Mary took a deep breath, rallying against the terror. "Jake, listen to me. We need to fight." "Fight what?" he sobbed, his voice a fragile thread weaving through the chaos. "Fight the truth. We have to confront it. Together." The shadows recoiled, swirling as if recoiling from her defiance. "The truth is waiting, Mary. It craves release. You think you're strong enough to bear the weight?" The figure's laughter echoed, a twisted mockery of her desperate attempt at courage, but Mary wouldn't back down. "We've faced worse together. We can do this." She clasped Jake's hand, squeezing it tightly, feeling the warmth of his small body against the penetrating cold. The dark surged around them like a storm, veiled souls screaming incoherent pleas. "Face your truth. Embrace your failures." It roared, catching them in a whirlwind of despair, shadows racing to tear them apart. "Hold on, Jake. Please." Mary's heart beat faster, each thump matching the terror surrounding them. "You don't understand," Jake cried, his fear cutting deeply into her resolve. "What if I don't want to face it?" "Neither do I," she replied, tears spilling down her cheeks. "But it's the only way to save us." With a colossal wrench, the abyss opened wider, revealing a scene from the past darkened corners of their home, where laughter once reverberated, now silent and hollow. A memory of a family dinner, shattered now by grief and bitterness. "Do you see it?" the figure hissed, lingering around the edges. "The echoes of missed calls, forgotten apologies. You can't escape this." "Stop!" Mary shouted. "Stop using our memories against us. They're ours." In that moment, the swirling shadows hesitated. The figures drifted closer, wailing in agony yet seeking connection. "We were never free, Mary. You chose to forget." An understanding sparked a realization that the dark wasn't seeking to hurt her, it wanted to reveal, to expose the truth hidden beneath her grief. "Together, Jake. We must remember," she urged, her resolve igniting like fire in her veins. The shadows trembled, the cacophony of voices shifting slowly to a whisper, merging with her own memories, entwining with Jake's apprehension. "What if we see things we can't bear?" he asked, his voice quavering. "Then we face them. Together." And they plummeted further, into the sweet torment of unresolved truths, the shadows releasing their grip momentarily as a beam of luminous light burst forth, blinding and beckoning. Mary pushed forward, feeling Jake desire to retreat, but she would not let him. They had to break through. They had to find their truths, or lose themselves to the dark forever. The light pulsed, ready to showcase what lay ahead, yet lingering doubt wrapped around them like chains. Were they prepared for what awaited? As they spiraled closer to the heart of that blinding glow, Mary's breath hitched. The darkness lashed out one last time, the whisper hissing cruelly, "Are you ready for the truth, Mary?" And in the depths of her uncertainty, a flicker of dread ignited. Would they truly be able to face what lay ahead? Or would the truth cut them, perhaps irrevocably? The light engulfed them, warm yet blinding. It wrapped around Mary and Jake like a mother's embrace, but something felt off. The warmth quickly transformed into a suffocating haze, and Mary gasped. The blinding light dimmed, revealing a twisted reflection of their home, a grotesque parody of familiarity. "Where are we now?" Jake's voice trembled, laced with fear, as they stood in a fragmented version of their living room. The remnants of their old life seemed warped, furniture grotesquely out of scale and colors twisted into unsettling hues. Shadows danced along the walls, shadows that didn't belong to anything tangible, their old family portraits hung crookedly, the faces smiling yet distorting, eyes glinting with a dark mischief. "This is not right," Mary murmured, heart racing as she gripped Jake's hand tighter. "Mom!" Jake whimpered, eyes darting around. "I don't like this place. I want to go home." The shadows crept closer, whispering secrets they only half understood. "You will find the truth here, in every corner." "No. You don't get to control us." Mary shouted, defiance ringing through her voice, though her heart quaked. "What are you afraid of?" The dark figure, the relentless voice from before, emerged once more, its form shifting in and out of clarity. "Your past holds the key, but you must first unravel the lies you've built." A sudden chill swept through the air as the lights flickered, revealing a fleeting image of her father, drowning in sorrow. "Why did you leave us?" He seemed to mouth, his face twisted in torment, as if eternally frozen in a moment of pain. The moment slammed into Mary, a raw punch to her gut. "Stop it!" she shouted, covering her ears, but the whispers tightened around her resolving walls. "You're not him. You're just a shadow." With her heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst, she forced herself to look closer. Each flicker of light wove memories around her, images of laughter, joy, and warmth tainted by shadows of regret and loss. "Look closer," the figure taunted, a creeping mirth hanging in the air. "What truths lie buried deep within?" Feeling Jake's hand tremble, Mary spun to him. "We have to confront this together, remember?" Her breath quickened, a knot tightening in her chest, the shadow lashed out, gripping her throat, cold fingers of despair closing in. "You don't know what's buried, do you? All the things you wished you could forget." A door creaked open in the corner of the room, leading to a darkened hallway filled with echoes of laughter and clinking glasses, memories surfacing that had been long buried. She hesitated, doubt gnawing at her mind. Was she prepared for what lay beyond that door? "Mom, don't go!" Jake cried, the pure terror reflected in his wide eyes. Each word dripped with a child's desperation. The shadows buzzed, sensing her hesitation, feeding on her fear. What if you fail to accept? What if those truths break you both? Adrenaline surged through Mary. "I won't let that happen, Jake. We'll face it together." Still, what awaited them in that hallway filled her with dread. As they moved closer, anticipation thickened, weaving through the air like an unseen thread. Who would they see? What ghosts awaited them? And just like that, the door swung wide, revealing an endless night where memories thrashed in chaos. Mary stepped into the void, a scream caught in her throat, heart racing as they tumbled into shadows filled with truths they never wanted to face. "Face it, Mary." The voice echoed, dark and triumphant. "Face the worst of all, your greatest fear. What if you weren't meant to feel free?" And before she could catch her breath, the door slammed shut behind them, sealing their fate with a resounding finality, as the horrific truth awaited, ready to rise from the depths. What truths would be unveiled? Would it shatter them, or set them free? A numbing silence enveloped Mary and Jake in the void, the weight of the darkness pressing down around them, heavy and suffocating. Jake clung to her leg, eyes wide with fear. "Mom, I'm scared," he whispered, the tremor in his voice echoing her own growing dread. "I know, honey," she replied, forcing a calmness that felt unrealistic. "But we need to keep moving. We need to face what's ahead." A flicker of light appeared in the distance, pulsating like a heartbeat. Mary took a deep breath, clutching Jake's hand tightly as they stepped into the glow. The darkness receded, revealing a room distorted by memories, flashes of her past dancing like specters. Laughter echoed, but it was accompanied by the weight of shadows lurking at the edges, clawing at her sanity. "Look closely," the dark figure taunted, its voice slithering through her mind. "These are the moments you buried, a dinner gone wrong, an argument echoing with pain. Are you ready to confront the truth, Mary?" Each scene unfolded before her, vividly painted in sorrow and regret. She saw her father's face, strained with disappointment, the way his hands trembled as he pushed her away. Memories of love intertwined with bitter loss, swirling together like a storm she could barely navigate. "No," she gasped, shaking her head violently. "That isn't who I am anymore." But that authority sounded pitiful even to her own ears. "Is it?" The figure hissed, its form shifting ominously. "What if these failures are woven into your being?" Jake's anxious grip tightened. "Mom, what's happening? I don't like this." She turned to him, the fire in her soul igniting anew. "I want to let them take you, Jake. I will fight." Feeling the anger surge, along with the warmth of love, she confronted the dark figure. "You think you scare me with these twisted reflections? I know who I am." Suddenly, the shadows recoiled, as if they did not anticipate her resolve. The room twisted around her, but Mary stood firm, heart pounding like the constant rhythm of the storm outside. "I choose love. I choose Jake. I want to be broken by the past." The shadows writhed, whispering frantically, their grip tightening around her. "You can't escape." They lunged forward, darkness spilling over, seeking to smother her. But a light erupted from within her, fierce and unwavering. She felt every ounce of pain collide with the love she felt for Jake, pure, resolute. "No!" Mary screamed, thrusting her arms out, letting the light burst forth, chasing the darkness back. "We're not afraid anymore." The energy surged, illuminating the room, dispelling the shadows that collapsed under the weight of her declaration. The figure screeched, retreating into the corners of the room as the shadows scattered like frightened creatures. Then silence fell again, tension shattered by a breath of fresh air. The darkness dispersed, revealing a bright path ahead, shimmering and beckoning to them. "Mom, are we okay?" Jake's eyes glistened with uncertainty and hope. "Yeah, sweetheart," she replied, heart lifting in her chest. "We are. We did it together." She pulled Jake close, feeling the warmth radiate between them. Nothing could tear them apart now. As they ventured forward, the remnants of their old life melted away, leaving behind only the strength of their bond, the love that had conquered darkness, the truth that had set them free. They emerged from the shadows, breathing in the crisp air, feeling the weight of the past lift from their shoulders. Light surrounded them, blinding yet comforting. They stood together, hand in hand, as dawn broke over Maplewood Lane. The storm outside faded into a gentle drizzle, cleansing the world of old griefs, nourishing the new hope blossoming within their hearts. Mary felt a weight lift as she looked down at Jake, his small face illuminated with awe. "Is it over?" he asked, a hint of uncertainty clinging to his words. "Yes," Mary replied, voice steady and sure. "It's finally over." Together, they turned toward the horizon, letting the new day wash over them. They had faced darkness and had emerged unscathed, stepping boldly into their future. Unafraid of the truth they had uncovered. "Let us go home," Mary said, leading Jake forward. With each step, they embraced the promise of a fresh start, ready to write their own story anew, filled with love and resilience. This was their moment, a chance to live their truth, together. Now, if you felt the intensity of their journey and want to dive into more spine-tingling tales, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to the channel for more exclusive stories you won't want to miss. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your engagement makes all the difference.